Ready?
Hey, there's no sunlight coming in today.
Anuj's expression is like cool. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 2 of our podcast, which now has gotten a title we all just discussed, and we're going to call this Ctrl+Alt+Rec. Basically, Control, Alt, and Record, right? And in this, we'll cover everything related to tech and everything beyond tech as well. Might be a bit too casual for your liking, but hopefully that becomes something that keeps you guys coming back to this particular podcast. Joining me today is Anuj, CMO of Xiaomi India, as well as Sarthak, who heads product marketing for our brand new series of products, which is the Redmi 13. And we'll be talking about this as well very, very soon. But before we get started, we also wanted to put some context as to why we are here also. And one of the major things for that is the 10-year anniversary, right? So we are turning 10 years old, 10 years young, depending on how you want to see it.
Yep.
But it's a major milestone that all of us are looking forward to. And I think a lot of our fans, media, partners, everyone can also relate. It's a significant milestone for us. What are your thoughts on that, Anuj?
I mean, it's an interesting point in the overall history of the industry in India as well. I don't know if you remember where you were 10 years ago.
Actually, it's a difficult thing to trace back. Actually,
So I clearly remember that I was heading out from here to Delhi, and I was in a cab. I was stuck in KR Puram. So I just crossed KR Puram, and you get onto that bridge to go to Kasturi Nagar, right? And that's where I started seeing these news articles come out saying that Xiaomi launches Mi 3 and all that stuff. And I thought, at that point, it was very hard for any new entrant to break into the industry. I was in one, and we were struggling. And I was like, unknown company, at least for the Indian context, not really at a global level. In fact, India was the second country that Xiaomi came to. And unknown company, one product, like how can you not have a portfolio of products? Led by a person who had zero experience in the smartphone area. It's like this is not going to last too long. And then I think a week later, we again read those reports saying that sold out, this, that for the Mi 3. And as all of us are, when we hear news that is not believable, we are all skeptical at first, right?
True.
So for quite a while, all of us used to be very skeptical, saying that okay, this has to be fake news. Right? You can't be selling these thousands of units in like a second or two. But then you slowly came to terms with it and saying, okay, this is more than just like a product company. It's this entire movement that's coming in. And I think by about November, December, even internally in the company, we were quite aware that, okay, the industry as we know it is going to change. So yeah, it's interesting there.
I think now that you've mentioned these specific instances, I think I also remember the very first time, and I was on the other side. I was part of the media there, and my first ever interaction with Xiaomi was at Puma Social Club in Indiranagar. There was Hugo, there was Manu, and they were showcasing the Mi 3 as well as a few covers that they had. And now that I think of it, I don't think I expected it to reach here where we are today. That journey has been absolutely incredible, and I think there must have been some secret sauce, right? What exactly led us to this point? What do you think that is? What
I
do you
think
think
it's the core belief, right? The reason why the company exists. And obviously all the decisions that happen, right? And obviously you don't get 100% of the shots right. But at the core level, Xiaomi was formed to bring in technology and innovation to as many people as possible, right? And this does not mean that you have to only democratize technology, but you have to kind of bring it far and wide with different usage patterns. And I think we are still doing this in a way. Because of that core philosophy, the initial team or the teams that have come in, right? So there have been people who've come, people who've gone, but the core philosophy has stayed the same, and hence the drive stays the same.
I think that's a valid point, and it's great to see that while we have managed to adapt ourselves to the changing environment and needs of consumers, that core thing is there, which is our North Star. And as long as that is there, I think we will continue to be successful. I think that's a great insight that you just give. And I think, Sarthak, to ask you also, you're much younger than Anuj and I, and I don't know where you were at that point of time, but what was your first experience with Xiaomi? Or maybe where were you 10 years ago, and when did you first hear of Xiaomi, and what was that like?
10 years back, I remember I was attending my civil engineering classes in my engineering college.
Okay.
And I remember hearing about this brand Xiaomi coming with Mi 3. And I was like, I went ahead and searched about it, like read about the product, and was like, okay, wow. Like the kind of specs it had at that point of time was really good. And after that, I thought that, okay, this is one of those brands which like come in and perish within like say an year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did not pay much heed to it, and then I read a few reports about it doing really well. And going ahead, they came with a power bank, I remember, and it looked so cool. The aluminium casing power bank, I had got that. I had bought that for myself. And then moving ahead, I remember my brother visiting Indonesia. I remember he had that at that point of time. So he had been to a Xiaomi store, and we were discussing about. So we discuss about tech
Yeah,
at home
yeah.
as well. So we were discussing about that, and he's like, he calls me. He does a video call, and he's like, okay, so we were talking about this brand Xiaomi. They have around hundreds of products here. We were like, okay, wow, I didn't know about this. Then I researched more about it, like I got to know that okay, so we have a really wide portfolio and like constant innovation from year to year. And then yeah, I have been an ardent follower of Xiaomi since then, and it's been half a decade me joining Xiaomi as well.
Oh.
So yeah, it has been quite a journey for the brand Xiaomi, of course, because of constant innovation.
I think that's one thing that I also see. You mentioned over half a decade here at Xiaomi, and I think a lot of people here do tend to stick around for a really long time. And again, possibly due to the values that you mentioned earlier, also not just external values, but internally also. Even for you now, 6 years,
Almost
yeah,
6 years.
6 years almost. So I think I'm the youngest that way. Three years in few months only, but still, I think like they say, 1 year in Xiaomi is worth 4 years anywhere else in terms of experience. So yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask actually, when you were doing a video call, which app were you using?
Okay, at that point of time, it was
Skype?
If I no,
G-Talk.
it was G-Talk if I remember.
What
yeah.
happened to G-Talk?
G-Talk became Meets, then became
became
something.
Hangout, no?
I became Hangout. Yeah,
Hangout,
G-Talk
yeah.
became Hangout. Hangout then became two
I
different
think
apps.
it was Hangout at that point of time.
Yeah, then it became Duo as well as something else.
Yes.
They had two different apps, and then that became Meet.
What is it now? Meet.
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 Oh man.
Which basically is your alternate to, I would say, Skype or
Zoom
Skype,
calls
actually,
and
no,
all,
Teams
yeah.
basically. Teams, Zoom, and Meet. These are the three most common ones, I would say.
Teams, Zoom, Meet.
Meet, yeah.
Actually, Zoom has become like the
Default.
course standard, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Actually, so 10 years ago, it was so hard to do a video call on a phone.
Yeah.
Because nothing would work at that point, right? And
That's
I remember like December 2014 is when I had to go physically to a store to get my SIM changed so I could get 4G.
Yes.
So the first 4G SIM that came in at that time. I mean, Bangalore was December 2014.
Yeah. Luckily, we didn't need that for 5G, but
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Yeah. And I think that was also the time we had the mini SIM to micro to nano.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a pain because
was a mess.
I still remember I got a phone at that time which had a nano SIM, and I had changed to a mini, but I didn't have a nano SIM, and no one was giving it also at that point of time. So it was imported. And then I figured out a SIM cutter from a shop, cut it, and then it was not working. And I was like panicking for a second, like, how do I get this fixed? Then I took a nail filer and just did that, and then it worked. Yeah.
So I also got my SIM cut.
Yeah.
And this is like the first time it was moving to micro back in 2011.
Okay.
2011,
Yeah.
2012. So one of the devices that I was testing had a
Micro.
a mini or a micro, whatever that was.
Yeah.
So got it cut, but then it was still not fitting in. So then I was sitting with the nail cutter and the tray,
Yeah.
saying clip off a little bit and see if it fits now.
Till you get to that
Till you
point.
get
Till
it.
you- yeah.
But if
And
you,
it still works.
If you just went a bit, oh, you're still using that?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
I think
4G was
at
there.
that
Yeah,
point.
Oh,
yeah, that was cool. Actually,
cool.
around that time was when I actually was doing some research, and then I found out. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And when we are uploading this video, there'll be a fact check and maybe either a moe moment or a great moment. The SIM card that you get in that credit card shape thing, the original SIMs used to be the size of that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Actually, it used to be really
Used
big.
to
But
be
this is
really
like
big.
before the
Yeah, way
before
back.
cellular came to India.
So
Actually,
essentially, later they made it a trend that you have a nano SIM, a micro cutout, a mini cutout, and the
Yeah.
full thing. So it's paying homage to that original SIM size, is what.
Oh, wow.
no, but that card is like just I mean, it doesn't have any cuts in.
There's no cutout. Yeah,
maybe
but
at that point you don't
yeah,
need cuts.
So yeah,
So like the size of a credit card. You just
basically yeah, that
Essentially bigger than a battery.
depends on which battery.
It depends on which
which
battery.
battery?
Are you talking about the iPad, the pad battery, or
yeah. Depends on
or
that.
a laptop
I'm
battery,
talking
or
about this BL5B 5Cs.
that time
Yeah,
those,
yeah,
those
Yeah,
batteries.
bigger than
Bigger
that.
than those
No,
batteries.
so these-
but
these-
this was even before that.
Even
way
before that, yeah, of course.
These big things were when it used to be cellular phones.
Yeah.
So you had to have these big equipment in your car.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So those cool movies in the 80s, action movies, right? He's making a call from the car, and everyone used to be like, "How?"
How?
Right? My cordless only went till the front door.
Yeah. I think even with the handset, you had like an external modem plus the battery pack, which you had to carry like a briefcase almost
Yes,
initially, right?
yeah.
And then for me, actually, the biggest eureka moment was when we got video calling over 3G. So I was in Bahrain at the time, and before we had all these.
That never worked well. At least in India, it never worked well.
So abroad it was working fine, and initially they had this offer where it was free for a few months. So then had access to a device and we were just video calling everyone, and it worked pretty good because the number of people on 3G at the time
Would have been less.
was limited.
Yeah, so I remember till 4G came in,
yeah,
if I was traveling in my home Wi-Fi, I would download all my Google Maps and everything else and keep it ready. So, for example, if I was driving from here till say Mysore,
Yeah.
right? So 130 kilometers, so I would zoom in, save that much area, then move to the next area, zoom in, save that much area. So I have like as
Yeah,
much
you have
possible.
the-
Otherwise, data would just not work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
I remember trying to just get your sports scores while on the go.
Yeah, that's
And it used to be painful.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then all those BlackBerry guys used to be jumping around saying, "Oh, look, I can."
Send messages.
I send emails and check emails.
I think I did try out BlackBerry as well, but then I don't know. I never found anything else to be of use. Just messaging.
I never used it actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried it, but I never
Yeah. Same.
bought it, used it, or wanted one
Correct.
for some reason. It
Yeah.
just didn't really make sense. But then from there, did end up buying the 5800, the Express Music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was still studying, so I didn't need one.
School mein allowed nahi tha na?
Yeah. No, when he said college, I was a bit relieved. I thought he was going to say like I was in school or this. Yeah. Which is a bit too much. But yeah, I think that's crazy. Like now that we think of it, so much has changed in these past 10 years. It's absolutely insane. I think we take a lot of things for granted as well with the kind of tech that we have. And I think when you think of this new phone that we have, the Redmi 13 5G, which at the time of this video going live, we would have launched it already. And I think this is a brilliant device. And if you go back, not even 10 years, a couple of years back itself, these sort of features, specifications, the entire feature set that you're getting is something you would not expect at this price segment. And it comes with 5G as well, which is the latest and best. And, no more buffering for videos, no more waiting for the scores to load, all the problems that we just listed out. None of that sort in a smartphone that is easily accessible and attainable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 5G is going to get better. So I think we are still in the early years. What's it? It was formally launched in India in October 22.
22,
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
Right? So we are about less than 2 years in. It's still maturing. People are not everyone's all still gotten their hands on it. There are new technologies in 5G that are rolling out at the back end side. So obviously your both coverage and speeds hopefully will only get better as we get to this, right? But in a way, it's also future proofing your purchase
Absolutely, yeah.
versus buying like a 4G device. So yeah, I mean this one does really bring in a lot of stuff. a lot of improvements from last year's best-selling 5G phone, right?
Yep.
Actually, last year's best-selling 5G phone
And 2024's because we
and
had
this
the,
year.
yeah,
And this year, both actually.
Yeah.
Redmi 12 5G and
and
the Redmi 13C
13C
5G.
5G.
Yeah. So essentially, again, this, while, like I was saying, right, 5G device, 5G network started coming in 22 October.
Yeah.
5G devices started coming in
2020 Feb.
2020 Feb, March,
Feb, yeah, Feb.
right, where people were trying to outdo each other with one
One-
wrong band.
One band.
One
Wrong.
It
one
was a
wrong
song-
band.
It was a band competition after that.
Yeah.
And then like, तुम्हारे पास कितने band है?
Yeah.
Which was all kind of even at that point I remember discussing this with somebody, saying that this is just such a stupid debate,
Yeah.
saying
Because no one had the answer, right?
yeah, so like I've got 13 bands, I've got 16 bands, like at any
What
given
if,
time.
what if none of them work?
Yeah,
That's
that's
also true. Yeah.
it did. I think it did happen with one
For
or
some,
two.
yeah, one or two. None
devices.
of them work. Yeah.
So I think that was like a very weird race that went on. But obviously for us, we had to wait till it was absolutely sure of what to roll out, and then also study the market to see what we had to give.
Yeah.
Right. So essentially, Redmi 12 coming in August of 23. Right? So almost like 10 months after the rollout had started, because we had studied, we had done enough
Yeah.
network and field testing, we knew exactly what was required, and how do you optimize so that you cut out all the things that are not required and only have the things that are required to give a great experience.
Correct.
So that obviously helped with the Redmi 12, and then we further went on with the Redmi 13C.
Yeah, I think one thing I still remember in 2022 October, when they flipped the switch of 5G, we all had 5G on our devices, but there were several other brands and smartphones which needed an OTA to be released.
Yeah.
To be honest, even a couple of our devices needed an OTA.
Yeah, I mean, but most of them, I think.
No, so I think we obviously, for us, I think which was that, the 11i hypercharge and all that. So
but that was for Jio.
yeah,
That
so
was for
one of the
Jio,
networks,
yes.
but still.
Yeah.
And then there was so much chatter saying that, oh, you guys haven't given a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody asking internally, saying that, our device, right, obviously the way the software updates work is not as simple as, I've now typed it in, press enter and send like an email. Like, it goes through a series of tests.
Yeah.
It has to get certified and then gets rolled out. So it's not as easy as that. But a lot of other devices which had something similar had not even rolled out or promised to roll out.
Yeah.
And they were not getting any heat on Twitter or something like that. And someone was asking, saying, why is this not happening? And they're like, but because nobody bought them. So nobody was bothered.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Possible, yes.
Yeah, so you hear a lot of things about Xiaomi phones because there's actually so much interest.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you hear so much about a Xiaomi phone, and you'll also see a lot of negative comments coming in because they know they will get traction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, recently there were a couple of cases like that, but my favorite one continues to be July 2019, where there's this one YouTuber / blogger who basically made these detailed videos on why the K20, K20 Pro are overpriced. Now, obviously, he's comes out as he's very clean and he's never done this for any ulterior motive. Now, I don't know what the motive was. I mean, I don't have proof for it, whether it was money or whether it was just trying to get views. But we continue to see that. So whether you like it or not, in the last 10 years, what we've also fueled is this entire economy and this chatter, which never used to be there. So if you go back to 2013, 2012, there was not this kind of a excitement about any product. Maybe, when the iPhone came out, or when I think the iPhone 3GS launched in India, there was some chatter. Yeah, I think I remember Rajiv had done a contest on Gadget Guru, saying, give us ideas. And so obviously at that point, 3GS was so advanced, right? So he said, it's already come so far. You give us ideas in terms of what it could do, and the best two ideas will win something.
Okay.
So I was sitting there. I used to work in a different company where it was marketing of IT services. So it was really boring. And after lunch, I normally used to fall asleep. So one of my colleagues, he's like, "Arey, this contest is there. Let's take part." So I was like, "Check it. Nobody ever wins." So he's like, "ठीक है, I'll write it." Right? So he wrote on his behalf. So he said, "क्या करना चाहिए?" So I said, "I don't know. Like, can the phone be used as a Wii controller?
Oh,
Like a
Okay.
Nintendo Wii
Nintendo,
controller.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you can do this and you can have control. So it connects to other devices and you can play." So he's like, "This is a good idea." So he put that in. And then I think about 4 weeks later, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm seeing him getting interviewed by Rajiv Makni.
Oh.
Like, what the hell? So same idea.
Same idea. Wow.
Nice.
But he got a phone also.
Oh, wow.
So essentially, like Xiaomi was one of the the drivers for giving more topics to the YouTubers.
Yeah. So
Initially.
it fueled interest. It sparked the
Yeah.
interest because, again, till the Xiaomi part came in, right? There used to be a divide between people who could afford good phones
Yeah.
and people who had access to that and had access to the information.
Information, yes.
So what I was really amazed with, I think even till date, one of my favorite launch events continued to be the Mi 4i.
Mm-hmm.
Although it had the 615. But that event, right, I think it went on for about an hour and a half or so, in which, Hugo broke it down.
The tear down, right? And reassembled it.
No. So he broke
okay.
each part down and
Okay.
spoke about it and
Yeah.
spoke about the why. And then obviously he was a great presenter, so he would break it down. I think he had a couple of jokes for Manu and things like that. But those 80, 90 minutes or however long that launch event was a education for a lot of people, saying, "Oh, that's how it is." And that's been one of the trademarks of Xiaomi. So it is not innovation for everyone just in terms of you can buy product, but it also became innovation and education of technology, which also, even if you're not buying a Xiaomi, you're more aware of what to buy. So those changes have also come in. So with that, obviously the whole conversation, I mean, obviously, we've met a lot of people who are now decently big on a YouTube or something like that, who said, my first few devices were actually Xiaomi and I wanted to cover that.
Yeah.
So, it's changed a lot of things around in the country.
Now, if you talk about 2016, 2017, before that, it was all specs in the phone, and there were very, very few people who would remember like what the specs of a particular phone is. Barring the tech enthusiasts, like hardly anyone else would know like what is there in a phone. But nowadays, it has become so common, thanks to Xiaomi. Now people know like what a processor is and like what does it do.
No, so you're asking questions like, what's the process technology? Is it 4 nanometer?
Yeah.
6?
So people are knowing about the manufacturing process as well. So
I remember
those
in 2017, I think it was Hugo and Jay, or I don't know if it was Jay and Manu, struggling to explain why a 14 nanometer processor is important. Because that time everything used to be 28.
28, yeah.
Right? So we've obviously come a long way. So it's interesting. I mean, if nothing else, last 10 years, for the phone side, for technology and for electronics overall, and not just phones, right? I'm just talking about TVs and your connected devices. If nothing else, it just became so much more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it was fun doing that.
I think we digressed a lot, but coming back to the Redmi 13 5G, right? So the culmination of all that and more, and I think this, especially when we're talking about process technologies and stuff, this is I would say a very powerful device, right? At this particular price segment, right? With Snapdragon 4 Gen 2A accelerated edition. So that plus multiple other things. What is your favorite aspects, Arthak, of the Redmi 13 5G?
So for me, there's this new feature in this. Basically, you have a ring flash here. It plays a dual role, so it helps you in better photography. It helps in removing the incidences of the red eye effect, which you usually call in the photography world, and it helps you click better pictures with the soft light that it emits out. And it also acts as a notification for your calls and alarms. So it's a nifty feature that you find on the Redmi 13 5G, and it's placed in the infinite camera deco here. So it gives a great look as well. So that's my favorite feature from the Redmi 13 5G.
And is blue your favorite color?
Oh yes, yes, it is, and you have the magnetic blue ink here.
Yeah.
So basically, there is a layer inside which gives you a sand dune effect, and Dune being a recent blockbuster and being one of my favorite movies of all time, so we have made wallpapers which resembles the Dune effect
The
or the
spice,
spices.
yeah.
Yeah.
Does it
So
also come with the soundtrack?
when you place the order, it does that. Hiya, whatever.
you get that as a ringtone.
Ringtone. Yeah, but I'm not even going to ask what is your favorite color because I know it.
Yeah.
Black for sure. But I think this black also has a bit of depth, a bit of dimension because it's very
shine happening.
yeah, it's very subtle. But I think it gives it that slight sophistication which is needed. I think otherwise. So
Otherwise, so black is, while obviously I like black a lot, it's a very tricky color.
yeah,
Right? Uh, it can go really bad and bland and boring very quickly. So how do you get a good black? And obviously, there's no one answer, right? So in this case, what we've tried to do is get it a little more dynamic, a little more energetic, while what we saw with the 14 CV or the 14 was going matte black.
yeah,
So that becomes a little stealth, understated. So it's different blacks for different people.
yeah.
But for example, I think we've also tried to do a plain black, right? Earlier on, I think they were not glass bodies. So it used to be that polycarbonate black.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't look as good.
Correct.
Right? So in those years, I was team blue.
Okay. Yeah, blue is also good. And I think another addition is the orchid pink. I think personally, when I was growing up, there was always this apprehension towards pink because it used to be labeled as a girl's color, right? And I still think it is. But the way that this pink has turned out, I feel it's quite nice. It's very subtle. It's not in your face. It's not outrightly, too
It's
bright
not really
or too loud.
pink, right? It's
Yeah, it's a very subtle color. I would say it's, I don't know, maybe got hues of lilac, a bunch of different colors put together, which is why the orchid pink name comes in. And then the person who has named all this, so he would have more thought process to share about
he had
it.
just flown Thai Airways. So like, orchid.
Okay.
No, the first instance when you see this phone, you get thoughts of your orchids. So hence the orchid pink for the same.
Yeah.
And with this smartphone, we have named it Hawaiian blue because of a reason. Because when you see the blue waters hitting the shores or the beach sand, you get this kind of effect.
So you flew to Hawaii in Thai Airways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the desert as well.
This actually is more of a glacial lake formation. So have you seen those glacial lakes? Those like
Yeah,
those
yeah.
blue,
Hmm.
right? So that blue part coming in, so it's like extraordinarily blue. So that also could actually be there.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawaii doesn't have glaciers, but Hawaiian glacier blue.
Glacier blue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like different perspective for different people. Yeah, for me it's
But at the end,
still
it's
the sand dune.
it's a great color. But
Yeah.
I mean, depending on who looks at it in what way, it may change the meaning for them. But at least it's a great color to look at. Yeah.
Actually, blues over the last 5 or 6 years, blues started to slowly kind of become a dominant color in most people's phones, right?
Yeah. That's true.
For I think 2 years in the middle, it used to be gold. 2016-17, everyone used to buy a gold one.
phone,
Compared to, I think it used to be normally when the metallic phones used to be there, it used to be black, silver, and gold.
Gold. Yeah.
So in that, I remember we had tried to do a blue.
Yes.
This was the
I remember the Note 5 Pro, 5 Pro, and
Note 5 Pro. That was very nice.
That was
as
also
well.
nice. Correct. Yeah.
We are wearing different shades of blue as well. I don't know, that's grayish, bluish.
Yeah. It's a mix, but
It's a mix. Just
but
like
yeah.
before.
And I think the 13 5G, so it also has the segment's largest display, right? 6.79 inches and GG3 protection. And it also has UV Rhineland for, blue light emissions. And it also has adaptive sync,
Yeah.
which is, I think, a rarity in this segment and a feature that's sort of, I would say, underrated. more people need to have that. Once they experience it, they're like, okay, this makes sense. And couple that with an energy efficient chipset, 5000 mAh battery, and 33-watt fast charging. That's, I think, a game changer, because a days of use in under 30 minutes in this segment is pretty cool to have.
So yeah, it's also the only 5G smartphone in the segment to feature a dual glass.
Yes,
While all
yes.
the models there have a plastic back, we have a glass back, which also adds to the style statement or the flaunt-worthy statement.
If it's
if
a
you could term
plastic
it.
back, you'll start getting these patterns after using it.
Oh yeah, after prolonged usage.
So one aspect that is there,
Yeah.
which some people have argued, saying, okay, glass is there,
Yeah.
but what are the advantages, disadvantages with a glass compared to a plastic, right? What would it be, right, for the people?
I mean, if it's plastic, scratches very easily. While it might not break, your device ends up looking very old. Most people anyway tend to put a cover. So in that sense, I would say glass is slightly better. It feels more premium in the hand. There are few people I know who go out, they use a cover, but when they're back home, when they're in the comfort of their home or office, they actually use it without. So it's good in hand feel. But plastic will not give you good in hand feel. It'll scratch pretty easily. And at the end, I think it also collects more dust. This is something I've noticed. I feel glass is a bit more easier to clean
Yeah.
than plastic.
Why would that be happening?
Build-up of static to an extent, but I've noticed this. I don't know. It's just an observation that I personally had.
But the fact that, a lot of so these mixer grinders and all of that also have plastic jars. Right? Wouldn't that be bad for people?
Possibly. I mean,
I'm just extending it.
there was
We've seen plastic in so many places.
There's a recent study, right, about microplastics.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
And, yeah, so I just threw my cutting boards out because of that, and I got a stainless steel cutting board now.
Oh yeah, I need to do that now.
Yeah,
I
actually,
remember.
a wooden one.
No, but wood also chops, right? What if
Oh,
you
yeah.
eat wood? But it's organic. That's fine.
Organic, right?
But
So
so I got
just a
stainless
little more
steel.
fiber in a different way.
So I got stainless steel.
So if you ingest plastics, they're not coming out.
No,
Oh.
Yeah.
that's bad.
not
And
that we're
also-
ingesting phones, but
No, I'm just wondering. So
Yeah.
sorry, coming back.
yeah,
So plastic devices,
yeah.
while obviously they're much cheaper to make,
Okay.
right? So from a manufacturer's perspective, putting a glass back adds cost.
Yeah.
But then you're also putting this little concern with people saying that, oh, if it breaks versus with the plastic getting scratched. So how do you personally, where would you weigh this?
I personally would go for glass, even knowing both pros and cons. Think of it this way, like you probably wouldn't want to have a plastic display, which we used to have, say, during the resistive time and all that. And that was not a great feeling, right? So that's where you interact each and every time. So it'll be more apparent. So similarly, why not have the best at the back as well? That's
Or
the
is
way
it
I see
that the plastics that are normally used in phones
the
will
quality?
will also chip and crack?
Yeah.
It'll not break, it'll crack.
Yes, that is possible.
It does. It does, and also it reduces the value of the smartphone. The resale value goes
Resale
down
value
for a
goes
Yeah,
plastic phone.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Valid point.
With the glass, it stays intact throughout the span of time you are using the smartphone.
Yeah.
So that's one major factor of choosing a glass back smartphone over a plastic back smartphone.
And
So
then
valid
you can put a plastic cover on top.
Yeah. Much cheaper.
Yeah. That's true. Moving on to another interesting product, which is the Buds 5C. I actually really like this design and the blue color also. This is a product that sits between our Redmi Buds 5 and the 5A that we have. Again, the benefit is that you get ANC, which has been a staple for both the Redmi 5A and 5, and this gives up to 40 dB of noise cancelling. And one cool feature which I also saw was that if you have the same earphone, you can actually do audio sharing. So two people can watch one single piece of content with these particular buds, which is pretty cool if you're doing a watch
Does your
party.
device have to have a particular Bluetooth version?
It's currently on the flagship device. That's the 13 Pro, 12 Pro, the 14 series as well.
Yeah.
but I think it's a really good looking design as well, and there's this slight glassy sort of a finish on the outside. But yeah, I quite like it. I'm not sure
Complements
what
this as well.
Oh yeah,
Works with that
Hawaiian
blue.
blue, Hawaiian buds.
Hawaiian birds.
I think after a lot of trials, this year we finally managed to get our audio line
Yes,
somewhat in the right
Yes.
space.
Absolutely.
Like the Redmi Buds 5,
Yeah.
right, I use it almost on a daily basis. I quite like that sound signature.
Yeah.
We obviously still have to work on the naming part of it. So you've not got
Yeah.
the naming right, but at
Yeah.
least the products are good now.
Yeah, I think that's
So this is Buds 5C.
C. Yes.
Okay, yeah, we need to work on the naming.
Naming.
Still better than Sony's names.
Oh yeah, that I can't ever get. I
Yeah.
don't know what's the thought behind that.
Yeah, that's a bit too confusing. Or perhaps they do it because they want to appeal to that prosumer who it's almost like a luxury watch, high end luxury watch, right? So a Rolex will have a reference number, whatever, which is not known to the to most of the people.
No, I don't think it's that. I think they're coming from the consumer durables era,
Oh,
where your refrigerators are basically just model numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
And your
Where washing
ACs,
machines,
washing
ACs,
machines, yeah.
right?
But then they don't do that as much for maybe the other things, right? Like a PlayStation, for instance, or they
Now,
had the-
PlayStation,
yeah.
it's a like a exception.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
If they had
Thank
named
God
it
they
like
didn't do it.
PS5123 something,
I might not have bought it.
just
Nah,
because of the name.
you end up going and buying the wrong thing.
Wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite possible also. Yeah.
Like Sarthak wants to play GTA 6, but he's got a PS3 certain by accident.
Like great deal on this.
Great deal. Like,
Yeah. But yeah, this is a brilliant product, and I actually like the blue color also. It's also available in white and black. And I also love the Buds 5. Since you brought up the Buds 5, the best thing I like is the colors on that, right? It matches to the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, the purple one. That's a really good variant. Yeah.
I got the black.
Kill surprise, right? Like it's and this brings us to power banks. So we have two new power banks. The first one being the 4i metal enclosure, 10,000 mAh, 22.5 watt fast charging, and comes in new colors as well. This is like a bluish sort of a hue, which looks really good. And then you have the green. Which also looks really good, I feel. What do you take on power banks?
I kind of find them fascinating,
Hmm.
but it's more of, at least with all the products that I've been using, it's become more of an insurance thing. In case I run out of power. But what I've realized is that's not happening as often. So for a while, I was traveling with that 20,000 mAh.
Hmm.
But now I've kind of brought it down, saying I'll travel with a lighter one.
Yeah.
This is probably best case scenarios. You'll need like half a charge or one charge
Yes.
for these phones, because most of our phones have become so efficient now that even a day's travel, you're
It's
normally okay.
I think we sort of received this question from a few people as to why a 10,000 mAh power bank and not a 20 or 30 or whatever. But like you rightly said, the habits have sort of changed, especially post-COVID, right? One, of course, phones have gotten faster charging now, which means that whenever you actually want to step out also, you can plug it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes is more than enough in many cases. Or even if you're actually traveling, there is a very high chance that you're not too far away from a plug point and you just need that emergency juice, which 10,000 or even 5K might
I actually don't even do that though.
Yeah.
But mostly it'll last.
Yeah.
Like I think last week when I'd gone to Bombay,
Yeah.
right? So I woke up at, I think I left my house at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh.
And got back home by about 10:30 at night, right? So the whole,
Single charge.
yeah, it was essentially on a single charge.
That's nice.
Yeah. So nowadays it's more of an emergency situation, but power banks were, say maybe 7-8 years ago, it was used during all those power cuts and all.
Yeah. That was
At
the
home.
major use case.
That was
at
a major
time.
use case back then. Hence we required, 20,000, 30,000 mAh
Yeah.
battery in that.
Yeah.
But right now, like 10,000 would suffice easily because you use it in emergency conditions, or say maybe when you're traveling, like constant travel and all.
Yeah.
And then you would require that, because few people have this anxiety like me. When my battery goes down below 50%, I think that, okay, I should charge it. I have this thing that, okay, no, I would need at least 80%. So I need a power bank.
Hmm.
Anuj and I are wondering why this behavior is there. But again, 10,000,
Let us spend some time to look into your childhood traumas.
which was 5 years ago. So the next power bank is also, there's a pocket power bank, 10,000 mAh again, and comes with a built-in cable. Quite cool actually. And you can just hang it on your bag or backpack, for instance, which is
Yeah.
also a pretty cool thing.
How strong is the cable?
You can try it out. Moment of truth.
Yeah. No, I pulled out.
At least it's not coming off the body. So
Yeah.
let's
see.
It's not coming out.
No, it's not coming. Okay, good.
Pretty good.
Fast. Tested. Great. Actually, I can use it as earrings. No?
two hoops.
Yeah, and we have a pink one as well. And this is a
And USB-C.
USB-C, and there's a USB-C input as well as a Type A output. And obviously comes in pink also, another color. So I think newer, bolder colors are a trend that we are seeing across the board. And if we were doing this podcast maybe 5 years ago, you would have seen, like you said, gold, black, silver.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing green, blue, pink, black, every single color.
Blue
there
is winning over black here.
So, tell me one thing. This cable can be used for charging this as well, right?
Yes. So it's a single cable that does in and out. So you don't need to carry a separate one. But it also has the ability to add another Type A, Type C. Also.
So, in a way, so I can be charging through this, and then I've got two.
Pass through. Yeah.
Pass-through.
Pass through charging. Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah.
You don't need to carry extra cable.
No need to carry extra charger also.
Oh yeah.
Like pass through this.
Yeah.
So, one
Pretty
charger,
good.
Yeah.
One charger
Two
does
hours.
it all.
Yeah.
and this is also there for your anxiety.
Yeah. And he'll have a power bank to charge the other power bank because of his
I
anxiety.
might do that.
Yeah. It's like Monica asking for a vacuum cleaner for the vacuum cleaner.
But
Right?
that I do.
Oh, okay.
See different
No,
people.
So I'm the only sane
So
person here.
the reason I use that is, so I've got a handheld vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
and throughout the week the
RVC.
RVC, the mop
Yeah,
P
yeah.
that I have from 2020, so that keeps cleaning the house.
Yeah.
But when I have to clean that bit,
Then you use the handle.
right, so how do you do this? One is that you open it and then you go empty it into a dustbin, right? But even with that, you have to clean the mesh and everything else and the filter. Or I use the handheld vacuum cleaner to just suck everything out, including the dust that might be there in the corners, and then put it back in. So it's just
Smart.
overall cleaner way. And because I have dust allergies, I don't want any of the dust to kind of come up.
Yeah. That's a big.
So if
a big
in
point.
case we had a vacuum cleaner that I did not need to
see.
clean,
I see what you did there. Very, very subtle.
Subtle.
But no wonder Anuj is the CMO, right?
Yeah.
But we have a brand new vacuum cleaner. What a coincidence. I didn't expect that. But we are launching the RVC X10.
yeah,
Or Ultra RVC, right? I think you can call it that.
that's-
Yeah.
it's like an extreme version of the RVC.
Yeah. Which
So-
has everything.
See, RVC or the robot vacuum cleaners are built for convenience.
Hmm.
Right? For me, if there was one thing that got me through the lockdowns and all that, was this RVC.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we used to do the cleaning and the mopping and everything else, and sometimes like twice a day.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe there was lack of entertainment, so you just sit with a coffee and watch
But
it.
we would be we would be spending more time also, right?
yeah,
Like
so it saved a lot of time as well.
No, as in like if we're talking about now, because we're going to office, the chances of it getting dirty at home are minimal. But when you're throughout
there, yeah.
the day at home, it
So that's-
gets
that
dirty
was
more
there.
often. Yeah. So
So from a convenience perspective, the X10 I think takes it to a next level,
hmm.
where now every couple of days I still have to clean the bin.
Hmm.
There in the X10, I don't have to touch it for 2 months.
Yeah.
Because when it goes back, docks, it pulls out all the dust that is there.
Yeah.
So your RVC container is always clean,
Hmm.
and it can go in for another round or the next day, and the central dust collector keeps collecting all of this dust, and then you just need to, when it's full, you just need to throw it out once.
So it's actually interesting. How much time would you say you spend on cleaning it? each time? If you were doing it the manual way, right now you're doing it with the other vacuum, whatever.
So
Or how much time?
so currently it's probably like not too much, but about 5 minutes or so,
And
Right.
every how many days?
3 or 4 days.
Still
Right.
pretty. You're saving an hour at least then. If you collectively
you
add
are.
that up, yeah.
But what ends up happening is sometimes I forget to clean it.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's already full.
It
So
doesn't do a
So
good job.
it obviously can't take in more, right? So
Yeah.
it's just gone around the house, checked out, saying, "Yeah, this is looking good." Like, oh, this speck of dust is nice, and it comes back because it can't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. The second, the whole X that comes in an X10, the second aspect is for large spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So right,
Yeah.
this is like you have big houses. In case the current RVCs or even this one, right, they only can take in so much amount of dust. So if it gets full, it'll go back, empty itself, and then
And
come
come
back
back.
and clean for more.
Yeah, it's a 200 mAh battery, which is massive. Up to 3 hours, 180 minutes,
Yeah.
which is
Plus-
actually very impressive.
I think, yeah, so it's got better suction
Yeah.
at 4,000.
4,000 Pascal, yeah.
So better suction, more battery, and then you don't need to care about it. But I think apart from all of this, it fits well with the entire Xiaomi
Yeah,
ecosystem play,
ecosystem.
right? It's a
Exactly
similar
what I was
design
thinking, yeah.
language.
Like
So-
the purifiers and everything, it looks absolutely
The
in line.
dock looks really cool. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with-
dock looks pretty space
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, like something out of Star Wars, essentially. Like a
Yes.
Yeah.
Stormtrooper look of sorts.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you have all your gadgets, your air purifier, water purifier, with like it's
All-
all
all
white.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Air fryer.
Air
Yeah,
fryer
air
as
fryer
well,
as
yes. White.
Yeah. Which is cool, actually. Yeah.
The new one is black,
So
though.
the new one is black, yes.
You just call it Darth.
Darth. Oh.
Darth Fryer.
Sudden moment of realization, actually.
With the Stormtrooper.
The
Yeah,
other
it's
one is.
actually cool.
Otherwise-
Didn't realize that, no?
Yeah, you have just one Darth Vader
It
and
also
Stormtrooper.
has that shape of the Darth Vader.
yeah.
helmet.
Cue music, right? Like dun, 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 dun. Okay. So we're covered from a product standpoint. I think that's quite a lot that we're bringing as part of this 10th year anniversary. But there's one more cool trick that we just pulled, something we showcased, which I think we also hinted during our podcast earlier. But having it here on Indian soil, I think, is a very special occasion. And while we'll do a separate video for that, what are your thoughts on finally getting the SU7 here for showcase?
It's obviously, I've sat in it once before, but obviously here it feels a little different
Yeah.
because you don't expect a car like that to be in an environment that we
Like
are
this.
used to.
Yeah.
So obviously it feels a little surreal from that angle. So yeah, quite cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that when it's parked amongst other cars,
Oh, it looks so good. Like
yeah. So
Yeah.
there, when we saw it first time, we didn't really realize how different this is because there were
Yeah,
other
yeah.
SU7s parked next to it.
That's true.
So like, this is nice color.
Yeah.
But now when you put it next to all the cars that we have in India, and you realize how far ahead this is.
It's a head turner.
Yeah. It looks super futuristic. Like I
Yeah.
mean,
It does.
I mean
there's a saying, right? If you get out of your car and you don't look back at it, you've bought the wrong car. This is something that you'll walk backwards, maybe just looking at the car.
You don't go.
You bought the wrong car.
damn.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a real head turner, and I think, like you said, it really stands out. It's completely good. And that's just the first impression, right? And then you drive it, you see all the features it has, and how much space, comfort, and like last time we spoke about, it brings in the best of every single aspect that you would want in a car.
Yeah.
Obviously, it takes you from A to B very efficiently, but it can go very fast when it's required. It's very safe, comfortable, has all the features, and looks great at that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about for that one, but that'll take like another couple of hours, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe they'll still not be able to cover every single thing of the car, but let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
But cool. I think this was a great session. Thank you guys for joining. And I'm sure everyone is waiting for the next episode also when that drops. So stay tuned for that, which will follow very, very shortly. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe as usual.